You plug your tester in and you have no lights lit, it means your hot or ungrounded conductor is not providing electricity. Now in this case we have a receptacle that's fed downstream from a ground fault, much like your kitchen counters and your bathroom receptacles. It may be a simple thing of resetting the ground fault. The other thing could be, if you don't have any power here, of course, is the circuit breaker. And if those are both on, then again, you might have a problem in a box with a bad connection somewhere, especially a wire nut connection if your house is old. If your house was wired in the 50s and 60s, you know, those connections have been there for quite a while. So, very useful tool if you're having problems with receptacles. Okay, now I went down to my electrical panel. I turned off the circuit. I came up here, and I do not advise anybody, since you're just basically students learning, do not attempt this at home, okay? Opening up a box after the electricity's been turned off and then turning it back on with live electric here, but I've been doing this for quite a while. Anyway, I disconnected the grounding or the green or bare wire, and as you can see now, my tester only has one light lit. And if you look on it, look at the chart, that light will tell you you have an open grounding connection. Sometimes what you might see when you plug this tester in, if your house is old, connections could be getting loose. And you might see that that light is weak, or it might even be blinking a little bit. That indicates that you have a problem. I'm going to introduce a couple new terms, upstream and downstream, and I'll explain them at the end of this segment. So this here will be the indication of an open grounding connection. Okay, in this segment, I disconnected the neutral wire, the white, okay, the ungrounded conductor. As you can see, I get a different light pattern now. And again, on the chart here, it will tell me that you have an open neutral. Okay, and again, if that light is blinking or if it's a little weak, that would indicate that you have a loose connection somewhere, possibly upstream of this connection. The problem could be in the box itself, or you might have to do a little more investigating. Okay, so that's basically how to use this tester here. And if you have no lights at all, then the first place to start is that you don't have any electrical power to begin with. Check your circuit breaker. Okay. Now I'd like to demonstrate use of the non-contact voltage tester. Remember, this only tests the presence of it. It's not going to tell you the quantity involved. So here's my black or ungrounded conductor, and it goes off. When I go to the other side of the receptacle, the neutral and the green grounding side, as you can see, I don't get any voltage there. Now, the reason it's a non-contact, you don't have, this is all plastic, as opposed to later on when we get into these meters that can measure the quantity also. Now you have to get in close and touch the terminals themselves. This is a lot more safer from homeowners. Later on when I get into opening up switch boxes, sometimes you'll need to identify what is the hot or the feed wire that comes into the box. That will be later on. Okay, I introduced a new set of terminology to you, upstream and downstream. And what I mean by that is if you have a circuit here, here's your 120 volts, which could be probably the circuit breaker. And as we come down here, these two receptacles are downstream of the circuit breaker. And furthermore, this receptacle is downstream of that receptacle. This receptacle here is upstream of that receptacle, as you can see the way the voltage flows. And here, this switch and light are downstream of these two receptacles here. So if you had a problem where there was a loose connection in, say, this receptacle, the problem could be in that box, or it could be in the receptacle that is upstream. Now, the basic so if you're having problems with in your living room, you're going to be looking at the convenience receptacles in that area. So if you're having a problem in this receptacle, you would be looking at the next most logical place where the electricians would have ran the wire. Normally they start at the electrical panel and they work their way around, okay, further away from the electrical panel. And the other thing is that when it comes to switches, sometimes we use the terminology of line and load. So the feed that comes into the switch here, that's referred to as the line. And then the other side of the switch we refer to as the load. Later on, when we get into single pole, three-way, four-way switching, the line and the load will become more important. So I just wanted to clarify what I meant by those terms there.